be a very effective budget work session.
Maybe we should change the date.
So you're just coming back from vacation that day too, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, that sounds like a really terrible day to have it.
Is that our second work session on the budget? It's not the first one, right?
I don't think you have one on the 28th.
So 20, yeah.
It is 6
o'clock.
It's 6 o'clock. I was just going to say that, yeah.
Oh, it's 6 o'clock. All right. Let's bring this meeting to order. And Scott, you want to talk about the mission, vision, and values?
Yes, please. So during my presentation for the town manager, I talked about creating a value statement for the town, and and being out and talking to. So far, I've been out and talked to about half the businesses on the downtown. I'm going up to meet with Kyla Welch at SAU 48 tomorrow. I'll be speaking at the Rotary meeting on Wednesday morning, and I have meetings scheduled with Ashland, Campton, Rumney, and Holderness to meet with their town administrators in a conversation of how can we more collaborate and do things together. But while I've been speaking to the Main Street businesses, they feel that
Ted's tapping, is that what it was?
I was
It was
touching
me.
it.
Or you? It was.
I was doing
One of
this.
you.
I was doing this.
One of you is with your bad
Distracting.
microphone etiquette.
Yep. Apparently.
they all like the idea of putting a mission, vision, and value statement together. And I think it's important, and I've been talking with the department heads when I've been out to meet with them at each one of their sites, and kind of talked about what our mission should be, what our vision is, and what are our core values as town employees, department heads, of moving the town forward. So I put this in front of you tonight to take a look at and see if we can move forward with a mission, the vision, and the core values that represent the beliefs and behaviors of the employees of the town of Plymouth.
Could you read that out loud, Scott? I don't know how long it is.
I'm sorry, Miriam, what's
She
that?
wants you to read it.
Read it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can read it, sure.
I don't know how long it is.
Yep.
It's
So,
not long.
no, mission is to provide affordable, fair, high-quality municipal services and responsive, accessible local governance, ensuring all persons the opportunity to enjoy contributing to and being part of the Plymouth community. The vision to be a town with emerging urban vibrancy guided by a small-town sense of community. Urban vibrancy is the buzz, vitality, and creative energies that propels economic growth and cultural achievement. And our core values, the core values representing the beliefs and behaviors by which all members of the Town of Plymouth organization shall conduct ourselves in providing a common basis for making and evaluating all decisions and actions, are as follows: customer-focused service, integrity, innovation, accountability, and stewardship. And I would, if accepted and approved by the board, I'd like to get those up on the town website to communicate that out to the public, that this is who we are.
How did you come up with these?
I've done a lot of research over the years and looked at municipal visions, values, and missions, and took bits and pieces from across the board and put it together. And this is the same thing that was in my presentation when I gave it to the board and to the public. And I felt a lot of it fit Plymouth, of who we are.
I'm definitely in support of it.
Make a motion.
I'll make a mo-
So I love the idea of a mission, vision, and values. When I've worked on these in many businesses in the past, I've often had a more participatory process in crafting them to make sure you're getting a lot of different perspectives kind of baked into those values. I can support these. We don't have anything. So going from 0 to something seems great.
And it's a working document.
Yeah, and we could adjust them. So I don't want to be here and say like I don't want to use these. I do worry that they're not necessarily as inclusive in the like input from the community as we typically strive to be in the way we've put things together before.
Everybody I've spoken to loved them, and watching it on public TV and talking to the businesses. What I would like to do is to have this document in place. I'd like to take it to the department head meeting that I have on Thursday. Mm-hmm. And
keep in mind that when you're talking to your department head meeting, and these are all people who suddenly report to you, right? This is your whole staff, and you show up and you say, this is what I think our mission and visions are. And their temptation is always going to be like, yes, let's do
I'm
that.
not going to tell them. We're going to have a conversation,
Okay.
an open conversation and dialogue about it, because in each one of them that I've already spoken to, they support these.
Again, they support them because you've put them forward, right? You're the boss, as opposed to saying, Anne, describe what you think the values are of this organization. And Anne gives you 5 words, and you say, okay, those align, right? And then you go to the next person, and Joe, what do you think, right? And Joe gives you 5 words. And then in that process, you discover, I completely missed that as a town, we're all trying to do this thing that I didn't even realize.
We don't have time for that, Zach.
I understand.
We are in a really bad place.
I understand. And I prefaced all of this with, we're going from nothing to something, and I'll support what you've written here. Mm-hmm. I don't believe you've used an inclusive process to produce a mission, vision, and values. And you can use an authoritative leadership style to say, this is what it's going to be. I don't think that's the right way to generate a mission, vision, and values that a team and a community our size truly buys into fundamentally. They'll agree to it, again, because you're a new leader and you're newly stepping into this role and you're saying, this is what we should be. And they all are like, we don't have anything to drive us right now. So the tendency is to agree, right? They have a blank sheet of paper, you've written something on it, and it's like, yeah, let's go. I've got to think that Neil's sitting over there and saying there's absolutely nothing anywhere in here about ecotourism or the environment.
Well, there is. That's the whole piece of urban vibrancy. It talks about economic development. It talks about growth. Ecotourism is part of our economic development. Although the words aren't there, I'll give you that, but it does cover that as outlined.
I think it's a stretch, but that's okay. Again, happy to support this. And I know that the other process is longer. I would encourage you to encourage your staff as you're discussing with them, to give you feedback on what's actually missing.
Absolutely.
In a way that they don't feel painted in on these things.
Absolutely.
Because I know when I read this, I think there's things that are missing.
Absolutely. It's first thing on our department head agenda is to talk about this and have a conversation. Absolutely.
And if that's a lot of quiet smiling and nodding, then you haven't succeeded in
I don't think we'll
producing
have that. I really don't.
Okay. Be interested to hear back.
I mean, I know it's only been a week, but I have been out and about, and I have been out and about heavy.
And I know the team's really happy about that, and I'm really happy about that too. I think it's what's needed. But again, you're in a honeymoon period here. The tendency is going to be to want to agree with you. The tendency is going to be to want to say things that endear them to you and make everybody feel like they're a team. Mm-hmm. And so saying, Scott, this is great, but it's not what I see for this town. It's going to be an extremely hard thing for any of your staff to say to you in the first 3 months, probably.
But I will have that conversation with them at the department head meeting. Absolutely.
I've got to say, I've been like a part of many a strategic planning exercise, and if someone came to me with a mission, vision, and core value statement like this, I would thank them very much for the fact that we didn't have laborious several weeks to come up with something like this. So, I mean, I like
Process
the economy
generates
of-
buy-in.
What's that?
That process generates buy-in.
True. But this is actually a very good statement, I think, and I don't think we need to kind of belabor it at this point. But you said you're okay with it.
Yeah, I am, absolutely. The one thing that I would object to is the lack of Oxford comma in the mission statement. Drives me nuts to not have a comma before that and.
Whereabouts, Zach? I'm sorry.
Provide affordable, comma, fair, comma, high quality municipal services, comma, and responsible. So
Okay.
there's a missing comma there.
Yep.
That is,
If she read it, that's what she would have picked.
that one'll
Or Denise.
that'll drive you right out of your mind if you are the type of person who sees that.
But yes, I will. It is on, I've got the department head agenda right here, and it is on the top of the list to have a conversation.
Good luck with that.
Want to go for it?
I have got to tell you, is that I have had some really good conversations one-on-one with all the department heads in the last week. And I've been to their facilities, which they have not seen the town manager ever at their facilities. And the appreciation that they have for someone just caring about them and sitting down and having a conversation with them is amazing.
Yeah.
And the same with the downtown businesses. They've never seen anybody. And the appreciation that they have and connecting with folks at the coffee shop in the morning, most important part in town, at 8 o'clock, 7:45 in the morning, is that I have made every effort in this first 4 days to contact people and to be in touch. And like I said, I'm going to the Rotary, I'll be at the school, I'm just waiting to hear back from Spear and Midstate. I've got, and these are things that we talked about in our non-public after my interview, is who to connect with. And I think in the first 4 days, I've made those connections and have meetings scheduled.
Agreed. You're doing a great job on all of that. I couldn't be happier with the first 4 days we've had here. It's been amazing, Scott. My pushback on this, I don't want you to take as
No, I don't.
any criticism to the job you're doing here.
I'll tell you
I'm
what
very
I'd rather
happy.
do right now, is I would like to take this to the department head meeting on Thursday and come back to you on the 14th and ask for your approval based on feedback.
Okay.
That seems fair.
I think this is in line with our, our spirit as a board.
Yeah.
And how we feel the town should be run. I don't see that it's going to undermine our town brand. We're promoting the town as being an environmental, ecotourism opportunity to people outside and come here and live here and study here. But this is for our town, everybody who works for our town, really, and isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. I think it's excellent.
Just want to say too that I appreciate the fact that you're going out and talking with everybody, and I know we had these discussions like months ago, like what a town manager probably should be doing. So hopefully you'll periodically just make sure that you touch base with everybody, and I know you, Scott, I'm
Absolutely.
sure you will, so.
My plan is eventually I'll be to every committee meeting. I probably won't attend every single meeting they have, but I will
not
make an
maintain your
appearance.
sanity.
Man, if you do reports on those too, then we don't have to do that anymore?
Right?
Just a thought.
The other thing, just for the board, that Scott and I discussed is Scott will start doing a town manager's report right up front as part of our week, bi-monthly, our agenda, whenever it is.
And right after your chairman's comments, I think.
Yep,
is
we'll
what
do
we
chairman's
talked about.
comments, and then we'll do town manager's report, and I think that'll give us a connection to all of that reconnaissance work that you're doing, and I think we're going to feel a lot more attached to what's going on in this town with that. So I'm really excited about it.
Yes, absolutely. So if you're okay with that, that's the process I'll take and come back on the 14th.
Yeah, that sounds great, because that's next Monday.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would call this the common thread. The common thread that our our whole future is going to follow.
So thanks,
great.
Zach, for pushing back on that. I think that's a good
You know what, it
idea.
might come back exactly the same way, but I'll feel better knowing that everybody's had a chance to tell
I
you
don't
that they
disagree.
agree.
That's the academic approach.
And I can't help my 9 years at Plymouth State, I guess. It's still right there in my core. Um,
The next,
yeah,
do you
but
mind if I just go through my?
yeah, let's go through yours. We'll do the tax
Okay.
rate last.
So my next item I wanted to talk about is strategic priorities, and really what you want me working on specifically over the next 3 to 6 months. And I have some thoughts if you'd like me to list those out.
Please.
Please.
So the first one is the downtown drainage project, is you'll get an update Monday with regards to the opening bids that were done last Thursday afternoon. And unfortunately, we only received one bid for our part of the project, and it came in much higher than what it previously did. So June did speak to EDA. They've advised us to go back out to rebid. And the thought is of getting out and really talking to some local contractors and getting them and kind of pushing them a little bit to bid on the project. So there's more to come on that, but that was one of the priorities. The second one is pilot agreements. I want to set a meeting with Matt Upton, but also I learned the other day that MRI does some consulting on pilot agreements. I have a meeting with Christian Pearsall, who is one of the part owners at MRI, for next Tuesday to learn more about what they've done with towns and cities on negotiating pilot agreements. So more to come on that.
Who's MRI? I'm sorry, who's MRI?
Municipal Resources Incorporated, they're located in the Deachman block.
Wow.
To have a conversation with them and learn more about what they do for that purpose. But pilot agreements is one of the priorities. Next priority was meetings with the school, Spear, Midstate, the businesses, the Rotary, Plymouth State University, and neighboring communities. I have all of those meetings set up, but follow up from those meetings that we talked about. The budget process to include individual meetings, meetings with the budget committee, and then meetings on our budgetary process as outlined in the calendar. Personnel. Ann and I have been working on some personnel issues that we can talk about at a later time, but I think we've got some things that we need to work through on that. And Pirate Party is really pushing forward with Attorney Radigan and making sure we're staying on top of it. We have a plan within 6 months prior to the Pirate Party happening. So those are some of the things that I've listed. There's obviously other things I'll be working on that I have, but I wanted to make sure those aligned with what the board's thoughts were moving forward in the next 3 to 6 months.
Pilot agreements are good. I would broaden that slightly, and I think you're actually thinking this way already, is nonprofits kind of more
Absolutely.
generally, because we need to get that contract signed with the negotiator, get them back to, working with us,
Absolutely.
so that we can get the agreement signed with the university for next year. And so I would say nonprofits in general would be on my list
Yep.
there.
Absolutely.
Under the personnel heading, the plan for code enforcement and building inspector, making sure we have, short term, just make sure we have a plan for that as you step out of that role. And we've talked about it a couple times, but I just want to make sure that doesn't
So
go.
the initial plan is we have personnel in the fire department that's on light duty, who has done fire inspections, life safety code inspections, and there's no doubt in my mind that in the interim, he can take on that role. I've talked with Tommy and Kevin, and they're both in favor of that, which would give some continuity with regards to the inspections that they do. And then down the road, a further conversation, and I know there's at least, the city of Franklin probably has the best model with regards to this, but moving building and code enforcement right into the fire department under a fire inspector position, and fund that out of the planning and planning department. But those conversations more to come, but that is part of that, Zach, and talking about that and thinking that through.
Perfect. Another, and I'm writing this on my piece of paper as a high level item that I don't have a specific task for you. But I think that there's an opportunity for you to identify some operational efficiencies. You know, not just the budget process, but it's little things. For example, we've got the signature file for the manifest for the staff, right? That's a thing that you showed up and in 2 seconds you were like, this seems silly. We should change this process, right? That's a very specific one. I think over the next 6 months, continuing to think about operational efficiencies is something you should just have as a priority in the back of your mind. Like if you're continually bringing us those things, we're going to be very excited to sign off on those kinds of things.
I personally would love to know that all the purchase requests have gone through and gotten those 3 quotes before they even hit us.
Yep.
So that we don't even have to ask the question. And if there's a reason, it's just identified up front. Hey,
We don't have to ask the question.
yeah, tell me why there's an exception here. Don't make me ask you.
I will tell you, and that's a very good point, Ted, is that Ann and I have had some conversations. We don't have an official procurement policy. That's something that I will be working to put in place, which will cover all those aspects of purchase orders.
Yeah.
And my thoughts are, and Zach and I had a brief conversation on this, is that there really is no need for you to worry about that. That's my job. My job to assure that 3 quotes were secured, that we're going with the most effective, efficient bidder that came into us. But with regards to that, the manifest for invoices in the payroll distribution, you shouldn't have to worry about signing that every week. That's my responsibility, as long as it's under $5,000 with regards to the invoices. Anything over $5,000, you will see a purchase order come in front of you at the board meetings with full explanation, disclosure of how we came to this purchase order.
I just know from your 18 months in your other role, it seemed like you were identifying these kinds of things regularly. You know, you brought us a disaster recovery plan. You brought, and I think that over the next, in terms of your priorities, next 3 to 6 months, continuing to say, hey, I found another one of these that we really should be doing.
So I definitely will, and that's a good way to put it, operational efficiencies and looking at those different pieces. But I agree.
And maybe as we discover these things, we can make sure they're in the, I don't know, maybe not the personnel handbook, but a general how-to, so that when we're bringing new people on, we say, hey, this is how we do things. This is how we do these things.
Yeah. Sort of starting to develop a standard operating procedures for,
We're getting more refined now.
yeah. Which actually makes me think of, one of the things you talked a bunch about during your application process was your succession planning in your previous role. Over the however many years you want to do this job, that's a thing that I hope will be in the back of your mind too, of like, whoever has to do this next, maybe they should have a better first
Intro.
week than
Those are all things that I continuously think about.
yeah.
And
Just those are just like natural things for you, Scott.
It's all part of the department head meeting too. So everything that I'm talking about tonight, I really want to start a discussion with the department heads. So in regards to priorities, what are their priorities for each department over the next 12 months? What are they looking at?
Getting up to speed.
Talking about procurement and purchase orders, talking about the hiring referral bonus, talking about succession planning. How do they look at succession planning and us being able to create a policy together on how we work through and identify those that have room for advancement in each department, and those that may not have room for advancement in each department. But it's a process that we'll go through and work through.
Love it.
Some people might not want to advance.
Absolutely.
And yeah,
And
that's
you
fine.
interview those individuals and make sure that everybody starts on an even plane.
Yeah.
And then through the succession planning process, you're interviewing each one of those staff members, because you're absolutely right, Neil. They may say, I'm happy being a lieutenant in the fire department. I don't want to be a captain
This
or a
is
chief.
exactly what I want to do. Yeah.
So that's part of the process as well.
It's awesome.
Can I add on something, Zach?
Yeah, of course.
One of the things, I'd love the departments to think about how they can align resources to be more effective. And the example I come up with is that we're buying equipment for both Parks and Rec and the cemetery to do the same job. If there are opportunities out there where we can align resources better so we don't have to buy twice as much as something, I'd love that to be a priority.
Yeah.
All part of procurement and purchasing power. And that's one of the, conversations I want to have with Kyla tomorrow, because we never have really taken advantage. I think in the past, we had done it, from what I'm being told, but having a meeting with Kyla and talking about procurement and the purchasing power that both the town and the school have. Maybe we start out on heating oil and propane and fuel, and then we expand upon that. But at least having that conversation, opening up that dialogue, and trying to put something down. So if we do send an RFP out for heating oil, we're sending it out based on the number of gallons that we're using in in all of our town
Collectively,
buildings.
yeah.
So that's part of my discussion with her tomorrow. But I agree.
No, I just wanted to throw it out there.
No, I agree. There's, if we're buying something for the highway department and the cemetery can use it, or vice versa, there's no reason to duplicating our efforts. It's more regionalizing our equipment and our personnel to do things with each other.
Breaking down some of those silos.
I mean, I'll
and-
give you an example today, and I told Zach this earlier, is that, I was up at Parks the other day, and I really had a nice conversation with Robert and his staff. And today they came here to take the polling items up to the school and set up. And I said to him, Robert, our side door doesn't shut very well. Mind taking a look at that? No, first time I've ever been asked. He took a look at it and fixed it. It's slammed shut now. You don't have to worry about the door
It's
remaining
been like
open.
that for years.
Exactly. So it's a matter of getting out and talking to people and facilitating a conversation and getting people to work together. That's how I am.
I love it.
Nope. Solely on
Just
board.
one comment.
Sure.
I think your priorities are great. I'm glad that you're going, obviously, businesses and the schools, the hospitals. I'd also like to see more communication to the residents. I don't know if that's through PBTV. I think it'd be great if the residents knew about the vision statement, that you're looking at pirate party, I don't know, town manager corner in the local paper. I'm not sure. I'd love to see more residents come to these meetings. Frank's hopefully there, I can't tell.
No,
But some of the-
we don't even have Frank tonight.
These things out to the residents of the town.
I'll tell you what we're doing, Mary Ann, is Dan and I are working on a town manager's page. And I've already developed my first report that will go out in December on things that we've discussed and we're starting to work on. So that will go into the town manager's page as an update to the public and residents, but also be posted around town hall and the bulletin board out front.
What do you think about using PBTV? I know obviously we do the board meetings, but kind of get your face out there and those type of things. Nothing too long, but just brief updates for, once again, residents.
Which Dan has encouraged me to do, and that once I get settled, we will be doing that. Dan wants to sit down and have a conversation and go through that, and I'm all about, being out in the public, talking, answering questions, and bringing back the questions that I don't have the answer to the board to get an opinion as well, but I agree with you, Mary Ann.
Yeah, I get a lot of comments, people coming in, not knowing where to turn to, and it's always, just call the town hall. Ask for a town manager, And, that's what they're there for.
I will tell you,
Getting your face out there, I think is important.
I will tell you, my opinion or my position is that nothing will come to the board from a citizen's complaint until I've had the opportunity to facilitate it either through myself or through one of our department heads. That's my responsibility. Perfect example today, young lady came into the town office. She was very upset that she got a parking ticket and she wanted to speak to me. I brought her into the office. We sat down, we had a great conversation, and come to find out she was afraid to go to the police department. I said, don't be afraid to go to the police department. I'll call the chief right now and set up a meeting with you in the next 5 minutes, and you can go up and explain your concerns with the way Plymouth does parking. I said, we're always open to comments and criticism, because maybe we can do it better. And she walked out of here with a smile on her face. She walked in tears. So that's the type of openness that I want to be able to have, not only with that type of situation, but anybody who has a concern. That's me.
Anything else that we think should be a priority for Scott?
Well, I don't want to see him burn himself out.
No,
This seems like a lot, doesn't it?
I really don't want to see you
That's a
burn yourself
priority.
out.
don't burn
I
yourself
will.
Don't
out.
burn
I-
out, Scott.
I have a lot of passion,
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
and I love our community, and our community just needs to continue to flourish. And the only way we can do that is through transparency and open and honest communications.
When I came back on the board about 3 years ago, we didn't have a hiring policy. We didn't have a employee review policy. We didn't have a purchasing policy. And we've come a long way. And this is like getting a rocket booster, you know? We're going to another stage.
So, what about, also, hiring a town planner or figuring out what that looks like, plus economic development? Now, I'm not trying to add to your list, just wanna throw that out there, maybe that's a 12-month down the road.
Actually, I have a meeting with June, Thursday after the department head meeting, to kind of figure out where she is, what her plans are, and then I'll be coming back to you with some thoughts on a direction that maybe we can move in.
Sounds good.
Can you pin her down to another year part-time even?
I don't know.
Go for it.
We'll see.
Hey, you know,
Wow.
Island Street is nice.
It was a nice little skim coat we got there,
We
wasn't
can
it?
thank Scott for that, too. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Appreciate that.
Week one, you paved Highland Street.
How's that
I
work
can't believe you
out?
did that so quick, Scott.
You've got the budget timeline. Are we all set with the
We're set with that, I
priorities
think.
for right now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. The budget timeline, I've provided copies as proposed, as we move forward. I know we talked about December 5th possibly not being a date, but I think we can talk further about that after you've had a chance to look through this, and evaluate it. Not that it has to be done now, but at least you have it in front of you. Next item is that Ann and I are both on vacation the week after Thanksgiving. My vacation's been planned for 16 months, and I know Ann's has been planned for quite some time. So we'd be gone after Thanksgiving. I'll be returning on the 5th. Ann, is your return on the 5th or later than that?
If you're talking
mute.
and you're on
Yeah,
mute.
shoot.
I think you're still muted, Ann.
I don't come back till the 9th.
Okay. So what my plan is obviously I will have my laptop with me, and I will respond to any pertinent emails that have to be responded to. I'll have my phone with me, but I was just gonna ask different department heads to stop in on different days and just kind of check in with the town office. And if something comes up, I will be directly in contact with you as the chair or Bill as the vice chair if something needs to be addressed.
I think that's perfect.
I'll stop in a couple of times just to see if anything's
No,
up,
absolutely, please, yeah.
because I'm just there.
Yep, same. I won't be anywhere, so I'll try to
So
do a couple
there's,
more stop
there's
bys.
there's a select board meeting on the 28th. And Ann and I discussed and suggested that maybe Colleen could attend that meeting. Correct, Ann?
Yes, I will ask her if she can attend that meeting.
And
That'll
we'll
be
try to
cool.
make sure it's a light agenda for that night.
Perfect.
That would be perfect, yes.
That all
Light
sounds great to
agenda.
me. Yeah. Light agenda and hang out with
Yeah,
Colleen.
anytime we get a light agenda,
My hope is that we have a light agenda moving forward, that I take a lot of things that come here and are able to facilitate resolution to those
Our
so that
hope
we
too.
don't have to.
Yes.
And, you know, Zach, we talked a little bit about the manifest for invoicing and the payroll distribution sign off. I don't know if you want me to start doing that. I did review it today, because I asked Colleen if it had been prepared, and it had. And so I reviewed that today. I'm happy to move forward with that, and report on it, at the second and fourth Monday at the meetings.
My opinion is that it's the town manager's responsibility and not the select board's, so I would love for you to take it. What's the census of the board?
I'll second.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, I will talk to her first thing in the morning. I don't know what she had done with it today, but I will start that. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
And do you want to talk about the things that we discussed, the bonding for the town manager?
Yes, and I'm sorry, you guys are gonna have to bear with me a little bit, I have a wicked cold. So there is an RSA, and I believe it's 37-4, that indicates that the town manager must be bonded. So when we looked into this, and we didn't require it on our first town manager, maybe we just didn't know. We looked into it, and I asked the insurance company if they had any concerns or recommendations. And they wrote back an email indicating that they believe that the insurance that they are providing does not require an additional bond on an individual, such as the town manager. So I just need to make sure that the board is aware of that even though there is an RSA that says they shall be, our insurance covers him, or anyone in that position, to an acceptable level. Another bond is not required.
Sounds good.
It feels like a good outcome.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And do you want to talk about the employee referral program?
Oh. So did they get a copy of that sheet?
I did not have a copy of that, Ann.
We've all seen it though, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic, I sent it over. So it just indicates the town of Plymouth. I do have a deadline. It says this program is being offered for referrals made between November 1st, 2022 and May 31st, 2023 to get us through the year to see how we're doing. We currently have 2 to 3 positions at the highway department and 1 part-time position at the recycling center. Basically, the referring individual, if the employee that they refer stays 3 months, that particular employee who referred them will get $100. If that referred employee stays 6 months, the referring employee will get another $100. And if the referred employee stays a year, the referring employee will get another $300, so a total of $500. And I just wanted to make sure that this was what you were anticipating. And we can try it for these 7 months and see how we do. See if we really get any referrals. We don't, again, we have 3 highway department full-time positions right now that we really need to have filled.
Yep. That
Perfectly.
You also have a bonus too, though, right? At least 2,000 or whatever. That
There are sign-on bonuses, but I think they have kind of removed those because that really didn't attract many people either.
Yeah.
You know, we held that up for what, 3 or 4 months and we got 1 employee.
Yeah.
So we'd like to get this out to the departments and just,
Yeah.
you know, see what they can do to help.
I think it's great.
Yep,
Sure.
agree.
Okay, and it will be the department that actually gets the referred employee that will pay this fee out of their budget.
It's not much.
Yeah.
You know, it's not much, but.
Two other things before I'll have Ann talk a little bit about our conversation with the DRA and the initial conversation about setting the tax rate. As I did mention, department head meeting this Thursday. And then the last thing I have is that we have taken the gold room across the hall and we've made that an election room, which is secure now for Josie and her materials that she has to have based on a new RSA that was implemented back in July by the governor that says all unused ballots have to be stored in a secure location that only the election officials have access to. So Ann took that upon herself. She worked with Josie, and the locks have been changed, and Josie is the only one that has a key to the gold room.
Which is the gold room?
Across the
Right
hall.
across the hall.
The small conference room across the hall?
One under the bell.
And is that permanently the case, or is that,
That is permanently the case.
okay?
And I know Josie in her budget and having a conversation with her has some cabinets that she'd like to purchase for that room to be able to organize it and store the things she needs. Ann did create a schedule for this meeting room, so in the event that, you know, the building committee for the fire department or somebody, we can coordinate that through a schedule that Ann's created for using this room for that purpose.
So you said permanently the case? That room's gonna be locked?
Yes.
So why couldn't she, or why would we have unused ballots sitting around for years or for the year?
My understand the ballots sit around until they are picked up. They're not picked up as quickly as the ballots that are cast that go to the police department, state
Yeah.
police picks them up.
Secretary of
But they
State sends
stay here
vans out and.
For a while.
Was there a smaller room that could have been sacrificed?
Unfortunately not. That's the only.
That room will also be used by the supervisors of the checklist, so when they come in, there'll be a testing location for all of her ballots. Right now, she kind of is using the large room as well, so that is going to be designated for their area. We couldn't put them in the vault any longer because there was too many people that had access to the vault.
Okay.
And I guess that was a no-no as of July 1.
That's correct.
Bummer.
Eventually, if we ever fix all of the problems in the basement, there is that room in the corner of the basement that feels like it would be ideal for this.
I did tour that today with Robert, the basement, and have some thoughts and ideas of getting that cleaned up. Part of the capital improvement plan is a cargo trailer, a small cargo trailer, to house all the election materials so that we're not hauling them in and out, because it creates damage to those when they're throwing them in the back of the pickup truck. Not throwing them, but placing them in the back of the pickup truck. The idea as cleaning up part of that would be able to take all the election materials, place them in the cargo van or cargo trailer that is weatherproof, and that would be housed up at the Parks Department where they have room to be able to put that trailer. So that's part of cleaning it up, and then Robert and I kind of toured around a little bit more, looking at what else we can do.
Yeah.
So more to come on that.
Cool.
That is all I had for tonight. And Ann, do you want to have the conversation with regards to the initial conversation we had with DRA on Friday?
Yes. So Scott and I had a verbal conversation with Michelle Clark from DRA, and what you should have in front of you is a spreadsheet. You all have that, Mary Ann? I sent it to you as well, because I knew you weren't going to be here.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So a couple places I want you to look. First of all, on the very top, you see the fund balance of $1,096,480. That's what the audit came out to be. At one point, Zach had told you it was 1.8. but we have all kinds of encumbrances as well, so we can only use what's left after that to set the tax rate. So that leaves the 1.09 million. Everybody with me?
Yes.
Yes.
If you look in the middle, the red writing, it says proposed at town meeting was to increase taxes to 14.17. This is just the town side. We proposed at that point $2.10 per thousand. So really, if we can come in anything under that, we've done what we told the townspeople that we would do. All right. So if you look at, run back up at the top now, estimated tax rate, you can see that the town's portion of the tax rate right now is 1206, and that's for the year 2021. Depending on how much the board wants to take from overlay and put against the tax rate, you can drop that. You could just leave the rate where it is at 1420. My numbers may be a little bit different than yours, but 1206 to 1422. That's putting nothing against the tax rate. The next one would go from 1206 to 1361. That's adding 300,000 from unreserved fund balance. And you can keep going across where C is 1321, adding 500,000. And D is 1291, adding 650,000 from your fund balance. Now, the more you take from fund balance, the problems that we're going to have is that we are not reaching those proposed minimums that DRA is telling us we should have anywhere from, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this wrong, but it's between 5 and 17% of the overall budgets. Now, these aren't just town budgets. This is the school, the county, the state school, and the town. So you're looking at, you should have about $20 million you should have between 5 and 17% of that as your budget for unreserved fund balance remaining. Those bills are due no matter what. You have to pay them. So our question to the board, Scott and I did talk about the amount of overlay, the amount of abatements that we've had, ambulances, write-offs, et cetera, et cetera. We're asking for the board to consider putting 50,000 in that number. In years past, we've had 0, just to try to keep the tax rate level. And we have abatements every year. We know we have ambulance write-offs. I recommend that you stay at the 50,000. So if you go down to the bottom chart, you'll see the 2021 tax rate for each individual entity. And as you go across, you'll see that the numbers are very close to what they are on the top. Sometimes they change just a little bit depending on rounding, but the school would go from 14, now this is both schools, 1472 to 1514. The county is going from 171 to 166. The state school, which we still charge for and collect and pay to our local schools, goes from $2 to $1.36. Those you cannot change from here. What you can change is the town's portion of the tax rate by deciding how much fund balance you want to put against the rate. So in order for us to set the tax rate, we just need a number from the board or decision of how much you want to put against the tax rate. I would not recommend column D. That really cuts us short. That number is small, but it was a number I wanted to throw out there so you could see.
How is our fund balance done over the last 2 years? What was it last year and the year before relative to where it sits today?
By tightening up the budgets, we have had more fund balance in the past. Because what they would do is they would stop and freeze the budgets, like in March, say you can't spend anymore because our revenues aren't coming in, and they would use all of that at the end of the year to have a bigger fund balance to help offset the rate. These are true numbers. There was no freeze in the budgets. I mean, they've had this fund balance of over 2 million in the past, 2.7, because they were not, budgeting was done differently back then. When I showed Scott the revenues, we went through what our revenues, they're right in line with where they've been over the last, we looked at 4 years, 5 years, Scott?
Yep.
I don't remember how many years we looked at, but, I mean, we kept them right in line. We didn't exaggerate them, we did not understate them.
These are true revenues as the work, and prepared a worksheet based on our revenues, and these are actual revenues that we've seen over the year.
So maybe I'll state what I was asking differently. In the past, how much should we have left over after applying the fund balance to lower taxes?
I don't think we've gone below 3% remaining.
In a sense, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for our trend. Are we trending in the upward so we have the requisite 5 to 17%? Or are we trending level? Or are we trending down?
Level. I would say level.
And so which one of these options, A, B, C, or D, leaves us level, and which ones give us that where we're adding to what we have in the kitty?
If you can give me 5 minutes, I can tell you that. But
I mean, I think the nice thing about and going through last year's warrant articles is that you did a great job in identifying what effect that warrant article would have on the tax rate. And at the end of the day, and at the end of the meeting, with everything that was approved, it was $2.10 that was estimated per 1,000 based on what was approved. And the job that was done over the last year of keeping it,
hold on, I'm sorry.
of keeping it, you know, even with no money out of the fund balance, keeping it $2.16 was pretty factual with regards to what was being proposed. But knowing that the school is going to have a pretty decent increase this year, anywhere between $600,000 and $800,000 on the budget, and I want to talk to Kyler a little bit more about that tomorrow. This is the proposal that Ann and I felt best putting forward to you.
Which one of these would you recommend, Scott? A, B, C, D?
And do you have that number?
Oh, she asked for 5 minutes. We haven't given her a minute.
I
yet.
know we haven't given her 5 minutes yet.
We haven't even given a minute yet.
Yeah, I mean, if we told the taxpayers we were going to raise taxes $2.10 and then we raise taxes $2.10, I don't feel bad about that. I mean, it's still a lot.
It is.
As we sat there at town meeting and they voted all that stuff in, it felt like a lot. But
But it was totally transparent.
it was very transparent.
Everybody saw that attended that meeting what the result was going to be.
Agreed.
All right, while we're waiting for Ann, do we have anything else?
So
I
she's
have
gonna-
nothing else. That was what I wanted to
what
cover.
percentage we're at now?
She's
I'm
going
sorry,
to tell
no.
us relatively which one of these options keeps us level, funding that balance that we keep in the kitty, which ones has us growing the
Where are
trend.
we in relation to what the state wants us to be?
Way under, right?
Way under.
So we're under 5% then.
Yeah, we've been far under in the past. Not have been minus, obviously, no.
No, yeah, the
Right.
idea is you want to grow it, but not at a ridiculous rate that everybody's gonna.
That it burdens the taxpayers to refill those coffers.
You know, we didn't empty it in 1 year. Can't fill it in 1 year either. I guess we could. No one would like us very much.
No. So what's the totals, like 20 million?
5 to 17% of the 20 million.
5 to 17 of the 20. So 5% of 20 million would be
Like 1 million.
would be a million. So we're 5%. We're right around that.
So A would put us in line
With the
with 5%.
with the low end, yeah.
The year 2020, you had 369,000 remaining after you set the tax rate. Last year, you had 600,000 after you set the tax rate. So if you decided to go with column C, which is the dollar, so to speak, on your tax rate, you didn't lose anything and you didn't gain anything,
Well, we
which is
s-
not a bad thing. But going with column D
No.
would not be good.
Wow, man.
So what we're seeing is roughly $300,000 a year
Over the past
increased
couple
over
years.
the last couple of years. So if we kept that trend going,
So if we pick B, then we're continuing to trend in a positive direction in our growth.
Correct.
And let me just tell you what DRA says that it wants you to have. Let's see, let's look at 22.
way more than we have.
Yeah,
They want A.
not even more than that, I think.
They want more than A. They want 3 times A. Roughly.
Yeah,
We can't do that.
I'm hearing a lot
on
of
you.
people that are very stressed right now, and I'm not kidding. They're feeling it.
And we're seeing some foreclosures come in Linda's office,
Oh, yeah.
which we haven't seen in a while.
And they might be behind on their taxes,
Well, definitely.
Absolutely.
slipping.
Which we're not getting. So.
Energy is going through the roof.
So DRA is telling us that the general operating expenditures of all of our responsible parties is $20,284,717. They want you to keep a maximum recommended fund balance of 3.4 million to a minimum fund balance of 1 million.
Yeah.
Every dollar that you take off takes 495,000. Every 10 cents is 49,000. With column B or C, B you're looking at about, is it $1?
Oh, yeah.
You said $1.52.
Yeah, 52. And then C, if you added 500,000 from your unreserved, is about 115, 113.
12.
Okay. I wouldn't recommend 0, but I wouldn't recommend depleting it either.
I know we've been far lower than that, which is probably not very good to, operate that way,
Went
but
down to 72,000 1 year.
Yep.
I remember that a
Yep.
few years ago.
I've been around for that, yeah.
I'd like the trend to continue up until we get to.
At least the minimum.
Well, I would
Nice
like
to get
I
in
would like
Nice to get in the range.
I
I
have
would
no,
like to be in the range ultimately. Maybe the
well,
10%.
as long as DRA doesn't come down on our necks, that doesn't really, 600,000 is pretty damn good, actually. I would tend
You're saying
more,
leave 600, Bill? I just wanna make sure I'm following you. You're saying like
You'd
scenario
like,
C?
yeah, C.
C.
I would be more tempted to go with something like that. And ultimately, we're going to be theoretically increasing our revenue, maybe with pilots, more likely with McGinley. So we'll slowly build that regardless.
So C is basically status quo. We choose not to grow the fund balance this year.
Correct.
I think this is one of the leanest years we're gonna see.
I don't know. We've had
I
pretty
don't know if
damn
you can
lean,
predict that.
lean years, but
Next year could be even leaner, we don't know.
I don't think so. I think we're going to have a better year, but just because of all the things that are kind of in the hopper. Whether or not they're built out so they can collect taxes on them is another thing, but just have to keep on getting Alex to dump more money in this town.
Personally, I would go with B, but
Neil, where are you feeling? B, A, B, C, D?
I think C.
Marianne, what are you feeling? You get
I
a,
agree, leave it level. I would go with C.
anybody have an interest in a
A B
point
plus.
between B and C? Where we grow it slightly?
I could be convinced.
Like a C plus?
Like a C, let's call it a B minus for optimists.
Minus.
So
Split
are
the-
you, is the board considering 400,000?
Like a 400,000, which would grow it by 100,000 this year, which isn't a big growth,
A
but
dollar and a quarter.
Shows growth.
shows
Shows
growth.
I just don't think we should continuously leave it
Under.
unfunded, essentially.
See, I have no fear about like leaving it level or even going
But
down.
this is essentially a contingency fund, and if we don't have it there and something happens next year,
Well,
then we're gonna eat on that.
okay, the risk of having a low contingency fund versus telling people that we're going up $1.50 instead of like just $1.
I've already told them we're going up 2, and we're not.
Okay, well, energy costs are like going sky
This
high.
would be $1.32 instead of $1.12.
Yeah, I could go along with that.
Again, when the town voted, they voted thinking that they were taking a $2.10 increase.
Prior to energy costs going way up and,
Energy costs are gonna be outrageous this winter. And food is, well, that's another one.
and what?
Food is
Oh, yeah.
going through the roof.
True.
I'm hoping in 6 months things turn around. But,
Let's
you know,
hope.
they'll maybe stop cutting raising the interest rate, you know,
Well, they're estimating
cool
it's
down
going
a
up.
little.
The interest rate's going up with the 7% or something, but as it was pointed out, it used to be like 14 or something, so.
So do I hear that maybe your consensus would be 50,000 for the overlay and 400,000 from unreserved fund balance to be put against the tax rate?
That was what I was suggesting, but I wasn't sure what the support
I'm-
looked
I'm
like.
supportive of that.
So that would be $1.32?
$1.32.
Which is 78 cents less than what was proposed at town meeting last year.
Yeah, 78 cents less than what was proposed at town meeting.
Mary Ann?
I'm torn, I still think level funded. It's been such a rough year, I'm not sure if 6 months is gonna do it or not, actually.
I'm with level funding too, for that matter, but
Oh, boy.
It's like the consensus might come down to you, Neil.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'd go with C. That's my gut feeling.
Okay.
I'm gonna verbally propose one more alternative. What about 450?
Interesting.
Let's make a deal.
It just, again, at least we grow. You know, it puts 50,000 more in the unreserved in the fund balance. You know, it for me, it shows growth on a
Still
thing.
gives us the $50,000 in the overlay,
Yeah, 50 in the overlay
and then 450 in the,
and 450 in the use 450 and not 500 in the fund balance. That would be a $1.22 increase on the tax rate instead of $1.12.
I'll go with that.
Gee, I thought you should go with 450 or 475.
Hold out for 475.
I would
I'll go
propose
with that.
475.
450.
or and,
So
All right, 450 it is, I
we're all
guess.
in agreement.
Pretty much.
So if you can just make a motion to set the 2022 tax rate by utilizing $50,000 for your overlay and $450,000 from your fund balance,
Right.
we'll be good to go.
Yep.
All right, I'll make a motion that we set the tax rate based on 50,000 from the overlay, for the overlay, and 450,000 from the fund balance.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any
Thank
opposed?
you.
All right.
Well, it's not quite 7, but
that's all I have.
Sorry, we're 5 minutes over because chatter. Anybody have anything else for the good of the order?
Nope, I'm good. Make a motion to adjourn.
second.
I'll second.
Oh, too late, Mary Ann.
Double seconds.
Come on, I got dinner waiting.
She's got.
Marianne
also
needs her
got-
fajitas.
Didn't hear anybody except her.
All right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Go have dinner.
Thank you.
Thanks.